Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to TGIF Wedding Planning Series. My name is Danielle. Welcome to my channel, and I am your go-to wedding planner and floral expert. I'm also the owner of Weddings Unlimited by Danielle, and I am excited to be here to wrap up your week and to provide a little wedding wisdom as well as a lot of inspiration. So, whether you're planning a wedding for yourself or you're helping a friend say I do, or you just love all things weddings and events, this series is for you. Each Friday, I'm going to share some bite sized wedding planning tips, behind the scenes secrets, must have, must know advice, and a little sparkle of pretty to keep your planning stress down and keep that excitement high. This is week one of the wedding planning series. And this week, we are talking timelines. Creating a realistic wedding day timeline is not done by accident. It is planned. And I'm going to show you three moments, three components that you can anchor down before we start creating a wedding day timeline. Now, I know you as a bride, you're wondering, how am I going to fit all of what I want to do, all my plans into one day? And how we're going to make it happen without running out of time. Today, I'm going to help you do that. So we're going to work on a mock timeline together. We're going to work through all three components of how we can make it all happen on your wedding day. Now, I want to share a pro tip before we get into creating your day of timeline. Before you start any of this, you need to hire a wedding planner or wedding coordinator. We can create a beautiful, realistic wedding timeline today, but if you don't have a person to execute and make sure everything goes smoothly on your wedding day, all of this won't matter. You need to have a professional wedding planner and wedding coordinator to help you not only create a timeline, but also help you on the day of and to ensure everything goes smoothly. Now, let's get into those three moments or components of creating your wedding day timeline. The first moment or component is confirming and selecting your ceremony timeline. Everything revolves around when your ceremony starts. And there's a few things that you should consider when choosing a ceremony time. Consider your venue rental time. Is it a 10-hour or 12-hour rental? Also, consider your vendors, how much time they need to set up, whether it's your caterer or bartender or your decorator, and also consider the time for breakdown. All this will help you create and confirm a ceremony time. The second moment or component in creating your day of timeline is to think about working backwards from your pre-ceremony activities or logistics. So I know you're asking, what is pre-ceremony? Pre-ceremony activities or the things that's on your timeline is your hair and makeup, what photos you want to get before the ceremony, and any additional things you want to happen before the ceremony. And that could be your first look, it could be your first touch, it could be exchanging gifts. All those things we'll talk about later when we go to our mock-up timeline we're going to do together. A third component or moment you should consider regarding creating your day of timeline is to discuss if you're going to have a ceremony in one location and a reception in the other. Are we dealing with two locations? If you are dealing with two locations, we do have to work on the logistics from getting your guests to one location, which will be your ceremony, to your reception, and what that's going to look like and how it's going to flow. Now, if you're only working with one location, that means your ceremony and reception would take place in the same venue. That's perfect. We still need to work on how we're going to transition from the ceremony to the reception. Will there be a cocktail hour? And Will your decorators or designers need to flip the space to your reception setup? Okay, now, brides and grooms, we are halfway there. Now that you have confirmed your ceremony time, your pre ceremony activities, and where your ceremony and reception will take place in that transition, let's work on a mock up day of timeline together. Let's get started on our mock-up day of timeline. And we're going to start with day number 1. Day number 1 is actually your rehearsal day. We are creating a full wedding weekend timeline. The rehearsal day is typically the day before your wedding. It could be a Friday or a Saturday. It depends on what day you have chosen to have your wedding. And as a rehearsal, it's about an hour long. So we're going to put 5 o'clock as our rehearsal time and give our rehearsal about an hour and 15 minutes to actually rehearse. And I place 15 minutes as a buffer time to just take into account if people are being late or your wedding party is dropping a few things off, but we do get some time just in case people are running behind. Let's also go to our rehearsal dinner, and we will place that time at 7 o'clock. And rehearsal dinner can take place at your venue, and it can take place off site, wherever you desire to have your rehearsal dinner. I do want to make a note regarding rehearsal is that you can also include your rehearsal address, or where the rehearsal will take place in your timeline. And again, your rehearsal could take place at the venue or offsite. It really just depends on what your venue allows, if they have enough time for you to have a rehearsal the day before, or if it's inside of their contract, if you can have a rehearsal at the actual location. Let's get Next, let's work on our day number 2. Day number 2 is your actual wedding day. And like I stated before in this video, is that the ceremony time is very important because everything evolves around that ceremony time. So we're going to work our way backwards from the ceremony time in the mock-up timeline. We're going to schedule ceremony at 4 o'clock. Just keep in mind that your ceremony does not have to start at 4. It can start at 2, 3, or 5 o'clock. But this timeline is just a template. It's just a foundation of how you can schedule and set up your timeline, just making sure everything that you have planned and dreamed of fits within your timeline. So we're going to start at 4 o'clock. And then for the next portion is the wedding party lineup for the ceremony processional. This will actually be practiced during rehearsal, how you guys will line up, but you will only need about 10 minutes to get all your wedding party lined up before the ceremony. And you also can pass out bouquets, pin boutonnieres, line up family members, make sure that all of the flower girls and ring bearers have their items and their supplies for getting down the aisle. But I will put in a 10-minute just time span for that lineup. Let's go to the prelude, which is actually where soft music will be played as your guests are being seated. And some people like to give extra time for their guests to be seated. So it can be at least 45 minutes before the ceremony if you desire. 30 minutes is enough time. So you only need about 5 to 6 songs to be included while guests are being seated. You do have some guests that's going to come a little early. So at 3:15, we have set the time for seating of guests and then the guest book to be signed. This actually doesn't mean you have to allow your guests to be like escorted or seated in the ceremony area. They can be in the lobby during this time. And then at 3:30, you can actually have them walk into the ceremony space and be seated. So I actually give my team and give our timeline, again, enough buffer time for anything that may happen. So 3:15, seating of guests and guest book signing. And then 3:30 is when the prelude music will start and your guests can walk in and be seated. Let's go up to 3 o'clock, which will be your special guests. So your hostesses, ushers, parents, officiant, any additional people that are walking in the ceremony that's not a part of your wedding party, which is your bridesmaids or groomsmen. The special people, I always ask or request for them to come at least an hour before the wedding. They should already be dressed, but if they need time to do final touch-ups, if they need time to get dressed, if they need to drop off a few things, or I need to give them final instructions, this is the time for all of that. So that would be set for 3 o'clock. Okay, let's work our way up to the pre-ceremony pictures. And again, I talked about this in the beginning of the video about anchoring down what are you requesting regarding your pre-ceremony pictures. If you wanted candid, casual pictures of your bridesmaids while you guys are sharing mimosas, or while you're in your robes, or if you want the guys for them to toast their drinks or play cards or play games, are those the pictures you are wanting? Or are you wanting formal pictures, which basically means everyone is dressed and ready to go, and you want to get as many of those formal pictures out of the way before the ceremony? Also consider additional pre-ceremony activities, which includes exchanging of gifts between the bride and groom, first look or first touch. So right now we have set about 2 hours or so for the pre-ceremony pictures that will start at 1 o'clock. And if you want to add any your pre-ceremony activities or logistics, then I also included some time as well. So 2:45, you can exchange gifts as bride and groom, and then about 3 o'clock, you can do your first look or first touch. Again, this is just a template. So if I would suggest you contact your photographer, kind of ask them if this works with their timeline and how you want your pictures to be taken. And then also make sure it's included into your master timeline. Let's go up to the vendors check-in and setup. This portion of the timeline is normally coordinated by your wedding planner and wedding coordinator. They are familiar with the contract of the vendors. They know and understand how long it takes for caterers or bartenders or DJs. They know what time and how much time they need to set up, and they just know their needs, what tables they need, all of that. So for now, I like to put at least 12 o'clock. That gives my team time to unload. We actually do decorations and all of that, so it gives us time to set up and decorate and design before the vendors come, because vendors do come with a lot of questions, and you just want everything to be kind of run smoothly and everybody's not on top of each other. Everybody's not, just running into each other at the same time. Also, keep in mind, you don't want your vendors to be unloading at the front of the entrance while your guests are walking in. So you want to give your vendors at least 2 or 3 hours before the ceremony to unload, get started with setup, so they can all be in the building before your guests arrive. All right, let's go up to the groom and groomsmen arriving at the venue. The groom and groomsmen, they don't take long to get dressed. So I have them coming at 11 o'clock, which gives them about 2 hours. So from 11 to 12, 12 to 1, to get settled in their suite and be ready for the pre-ceremony pictures. Now that we've worked our way backwards from the ceremony time, now we're at the start of the day, which begins with the bride, you as the bride, and your bridal party, your bridesmaids. And this is for hair and makeup. Now, this is all determined based off of your rental time of your venue, if they are allowing you to come in early to start your hair and makeup. But if not, don't fret, don't freak out. You can actually start your hair and makeup at a hotel, Airbnb, or at your home if it's closer to the venue, and start your hair and makeup there and transition over to the venue. And we can also add that time in the timeline as well if you need to do that. But for now, for this mock-up, the venue will allow us in the building at 8:30 to start hair and makeup.
I actually have a makeup and hair timeline, a separate timeline that can assist your makeup artist and hairstylist with just making sure everything is running smoothly. Everybody's getting their makeup done on time and everybody's following through. And keep in mind too that makeup typically takes 30 to 45 minutes per bridesmaid. So you definitely want to map out enough time for everyone to get their makeup done and at least be ready by 1 o'clock when pre-ceremony pictures and by the time you guys have to get dressed. So now that we have worked on the pre-ceremony activities and logistics, let's work on the ceremony, our day number 2. We're going to start with the entrance of the officiant, groom, and best man. You will need a song for that entrance. Now, grooms are requesting their own grand entrance, so you are able to split up this area. The officiant can have his or her own song, and of course, the groom can have his own song, and the best man, they can all come in on the same song. So you can definitely split this up based off what you desire. Next will be the seating and entrance of the groom's parents. And the parents could be anyone that is appointed a representative for the groom. So, mom and dad, grandparents, aunt, uncles, godparents, whatever you desire for that. You would need a song for the parents to enter. And then right after that, it will be the seating of the bride's parents. Same thing, bride's mother, father, godparents, grandparents, aunt, uncles, whoever that you have desired that will walk in as a representative of your parents. So you can actually use the same song for both areas and both parents, set of parents to walk in. Now we're at 410, will be the entrance of the wedding party. And you can have your wedding party walk in 2 by 2, or you can have them walk in individually. It all depends on what you would like. And then you would need a song for them to walk in. If you have a bigger wedding party that is over 8 to 10, maybe 14 members in your wedding party, then you may want to include 2 songs to be mixed in or looped in for this portion of the processional. We're at 415. And this is the grand entrance of the bride. This is the most special portion of the ceremony. And I always request the bride to give me the name of who is escorting her. It may be your father, it may be your brother or uncle. And I've had brides walk in by themselves, and that's okay too. So just I always make sure to just put the person down of who's going to escort you in as the bride. And then you would need a song for your entrance as the bride as well. Now, after everybody has made it to the altar, have walked down the aisle, we are ready for the outline of the ceremony, which will be coordinated and ordered by the officiant. So again, this is all just a foundation, just a template. You can always change this area if you would like. So now we're at 418, which will be the greeting and opening prayer. Next will be the reading of the scripture. Next will be the exchanging of traditional and personal vows and rings. I'm going to stop here. So, couples have agreed to do both, which would be the traditional vows. And that is when the officiant would just request you to repeat after him. And you can also include personal vows, and that is something that you have written personally to your significant other. So you can actually write it on in your vow book, or you can type it up on your phone. But you can include this in your exchanging of vows as well, traditional and personal. And then next comes the rings. We're at 425. And unity ceremony is also a special moment too. And people will, or I would say bride and grooms normally request lighting of the candle, pouring of the sand, tying of the knot, or any special unity ceremony that's trending right now. You can add this in, but it's also optional. Also, you can add in a song, maybe a instrumental song that has no words or just soft jazz music if you want to add that to the unity ceremony. So it can be really special. So we're now at the introduction of Mr. and Mrs. and kissing the bride. And again, this is ordered by your officiant. And next is the jumping of the broom. This is a African American tradition that can be added to your timeline, and it doesn't need any music. But if you are curious about what this portion of the timeline is, jumping of the broom, just leave a comment, and then I will share with you how that can be tied into your ceremony. Now we're at the end. It is 4:30. You only need 30 minutes for the ceremony. And that is the recessional and the which means the wedding party exit. And that's when the bride and groom will walk down the aisle. They've already been introduced as Mr. and Mrs. We are exiting the ceremony, and the wedding party is following behind them. So you will need a song, an upbeat song for this portion of the ceremony. Now we're done. We're done with the ceremony part. Let's hop over and jump to the cocktail hour and reception. We're going to start the cocktail hour at 4:30. And cocktail hour is an actual hour. So from 4:30 to 5:30 is when your guests will transition over to the bar area, or there may be a foyer or lobby that they will enjoy cocktails or appetizers. And then that is also the same time where you will take your final wedding party photos. At 5:30, the reception doors can open if you are having a reception in a different ballroom or a different space. 5:30 will be the time where those doors will open and you can seat your guests. If you have a seating chart or a seating arrangement, this does take about 10 to 15 minutes to get everyone seated, everyone adjusted to the table that they're sitting at and their guests. So your actual reception won't start until 5:45. That's when you will now introduce all of your wedding party. Again, this is coordinated by your wedding coordinator and now your DJ. So you will need a song for your wedding party to enter into. Also, part of the introductions is the introduction of the new Mr. and Mrs. And you will need a song for you as the bride and your groom to be introduced in with. And then at 5:10, we'll go straight into the Mr. and Mrs. first dance. And you will need a song for that as well. So we're transitioning from song to song when it comes to introductions. Next will be your parent dances. So the father and daughter dance, and then groom and mother dance. Typically, these dances are about 2 to 3 minutes, so not too long, which means we will do the blessing of the food and serve the dinner at 6 o'clock. Now, I do also have a suggestion. If you are wanting to do all the dances after dinner, that's perfectly fine. You can move this section and portion of the timeline up right after your first dance and also include your parent dances after you have enjoyed your dinner. But for this timeline, we're going to keep it like it is. So 6 o'clock, we'll bless the food. The dinner will be served. And at 7:15, which basically gives your caterer and everyone time to serve your guests about an hour and 15 minutes, whether it's a buffet setup or a plated dinner setup. So you have an hour and 15 minutes to do that. Next will be at 7:15, your cake cutting and your toast. You're going to want to keep your toast as short as possible. You don't want everyone on the mic. You just want your best man or bridesmaids or maybe a few parents. But once you start allowing that mic to be passed, you're going to lose time to dance. So keep that in mind. 7:45, so that's about 30 minutes. You may not need this much time for your cake cutting and toast, but again, buffer time is always important. So 7:45, we have made that time for opening of the dance floor. So you can create a whole reception playlist for this area. We also work with the DJ. My team, my coordinating team will work with the DJ to see when is the best time to fit in the bouquet toss and the garter toss. You don't want to mess up the energy, I could say, when it comes to the dancing, but the DJ is always great at knowing when to plug in these songs for your bouquet toss and your garter toss. So you'll need, of course, separate songs for that. Now we're at 9 o'clock, which is the final call for the bar. Most bartenders request, especially for weddings and long events like this, they request final call at least an hour before the reception ends. It gives your guests time to sober up. It gives them time to eat a little more, maybe some cake or get a late night snack, just so that they are not fully, not fully served drinks right before they get into their car. So it gives them an hour to sober up, if you could say that. So that would be 9 o'clock. And now at 10 o'clock, it is time for your farewell exit. And this exit can include sparklers, ribbon wands, pom poms, electric sparklers, whatever your venue allows you to do as your exit. I put some options there for you to do. That will be at 10 o'clock. Now, if we have to be out of the building by 12 a.m., I always request at least 2 hours to break things down. But this always depends on what type of wedding you have. If it's an extravagant wedding and you have a lot to set up, a lot to break down, then you may need a little bit more time than 2 hours. But for my team and for the weddings I have planned and coordinated, we need at least 2 hours to break down. So we have went through the ceremony, we went through the cocktail hour and the reception. So right now the timeline is from 8:30 a.m. to 12 a.m. It is a long day, but I promise you, if you use this as a foundation, as just a template for your timeline, it should work and help you get through all of what you plan and all of what you dream for your wedding day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week of TGIF Wedding Planning Series. If you felt this video was helpful, please tag a bride, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss next Friday's episode. If you got any questions or you want to see some topics for us to cover with you, you can also leave a comment. I will greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching and joining me on my channel. My name is Danielle again, and I'm your go-to wedding planner and floral expert, and I cannot wait to see you next Friday.